Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a general contemporary fiction book haul. It doesn't need much more explanation other than that, so I'm just going to jump straight in. The first book I have is An Untamed State by Roxane Gay. I'm sure this is a name that is familiar to you, probably from her non-fiction book Bad Feminist. I read her short story collection Difficult Women at the start of this year and I thought it was absolutely fantastic, so I knew I wanted to pick up more of her writing, and this sounds like such an interesting book. So this is about a young woman who is the daughter of one of Haiti's richest sons. It seems that she has the perfect life. She has a devoted husband and a precocious infant son. But one day she is kidnapped in broad daylight. She is held captive by a man who calls himself the Commander, and she is held to ransom. It becomes clear that her father intends to resist the kidnappers and not pay the ransom, and we follow how she endures the torment that she faces. This is a novel about privilege in the face of crushing poverty and the lawless anger which corrupt governments produce. Sounds incredibly important, and I'm sure it is going to be written phenomenally. Next up is something a little bit lighter, and that is How to Find Love in a Bookshop by Veronica Henry. This is about a girl named Amelia returning to her hometown in order to save her family's dying business, a bookshop. It's a book that is centered around a bookshop. Of course I'm gonna love it. It's about not only the story of Amelia trying to save that beloved family business, but also the stories of the people in the bookshop. As I said, it's a book based in a bookshop. It's a book about the importance of bookshops. It's a book about small human connections. It's ticking so many boxes for me. I'm sure that I'm gonna love this book. Next up I have The Versions of Us by Laura Barnett. This is about two students at Cambridge, Eva and Jim. Their paths cross in 1958. And also in the mix we have Eva's boyfriend David. And this book explores three different paths that their lives could have taken. This is a book that examines the tiny little decisions that we make in our life that can impact it so unbelievably significantly. It's a story about love and betrayal and fate. Something I have become really interested in recent months is that idea of tiny decisions leaving such huge impacts on our lives. The idea of fate. So I think this is going to be a brilliant book to explore all of those different things. Next up I have a book that was recommended to me ages ago, and that is Us by David Nichols. This book is about the breakdown in a marriage. It looks at Douglas and Connie and their life together. They have been married for 3 decades, have a 17-year-old son. They live more or less happily in the London suburbs, and then Connie tells her husband that she thinks she wants a divorce. But the timing couldn't be more interesting. Hoping to encourage her son's artistic interest, Connie has planned a month-long trip around the European capitals. She really doesn't want to cancel this trip, so they decide to go ahead with it anyway, and Douglas hopes that this is exactly what will rekindle the spark between the couple, as well as helping him bond with his son. This book sounds like it incorporates a lot of different things that I'm interested in. I'm really interested in the behind the scenes of marital relationships and parent-child relationships. So I'm hoping this one lives up to the very strong recommendation that I received. Next is another book that was really highly recommended to me, and that was Chris Kraus's I Love Dick, and this has also been turned into, I think it's an Amazon Prime show? I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know too much about the plot of this book, but I know that it is very feminist, very focused on female sexuality. I think it has something to do with a married woman pursuing someone outside of that marriage and that rekindling her relationship with her husband or something like that. If you know more about this book, do let me know down below because it sounds really interesting. I think the only thing I was told in the recommendation I was given was like feminism taking charge of sexuality, and I was like, that's all I need. That's all I need to hear about this book for me to want to pick it up. Next up I have Night Waking by Sarah Moss, and I absolutely loved The Tidal Zone by Sarah Moss. I read that last year and I thought it was just phenomenal. I think it was one of the best books that I read in 2016, so I decided to read some more of Sarah Moss's writing. This is about a historian named Anna Bennett who has a book to write. She also has an insomniatic toddler, a death-obsessed 7-year-old, and a frequently absent ecologist husband who has brought them to an isolated island in the Hebrides in order to count puffins. Anna is incredibly sleep deprived, and dividing herself between being the mother that she wants to be, but also wanting to enjoy the solitude and work that she has come here to do. She then becomes haunted by the discovery of a baby skeleton in the garden of her house. And the narrative is punctuated by letters that she finds from 200 years ago, from a young middle-class midwife who is attempting to introduce modern medicine to the island. This sounds so multifaceted. As I said, I'm really excited to pick up some more of Sarah Moss's writing. I'm slightly worried that I loved the title zone so much that nothing that Sarah Moss will ever write will live up to it. Next up is a very exciting book, and that is The Bricks That Built the Houses by Kate Tempest. Kate Tempest is one of my favourite poets. The novel reaches back through time to the first time Becky and Harry meet. It examines their lives, their relationships with their friends and their families. It captures the contemporary struggles of urban life, of young people seeking and juggling jobs, definitely relatable, harbouring ambitions and making compromises. Yep, definitely pretty relatable. This is an unexpected love story. It is a book about being young but being part of something old. It is about how you become yourself and how you change your future. As I said, I love Kate Tempest's poetry, so I'm really excited to see what her novel is like. Next up I have Commonwealth by Anne Patchett. This is a book about what happens when a man named Bert shows up at the christening of a girl named Franny uninvited. Before the evening, he has kissed Franny's mother, thus setting in motion the dissolution of their two marriages and the joining of their two families. This book spans 5 decades, and it is about how this chance encounter affects the 4 parents and 6 children involved. When Franny is in her 20s, she begins a love affair with an author and tells him the story of her family. Her family becomes the basis for his wildly successful book and ultimately forces the family to come to terms with their feelings towards one another. Moral of the story, don't fall in love with authors because they will steal your life and put it in a book. Next up is The Music Shop by Rachel Joyce, and this is a book that I am so excited about. This book is set in 1988, just as the CD has arrived and vinyl is going into decline. A man named Frank owns a small music shop that is jam-packed with vinyls. Perhaps some similar kinds of vibes there with How to Find Love in a Bookshop. This book is about Frank's determination to save vinyl, but also his growing love for someone that finds themselves in a music shop one day. What is phenomenal about Rachel Joyce's books is how she shines a light on ordinary lives and displays how they are stories worthy of telling, how the story of the ordinary person is just as important as the story of the hero. And of course, underpinning this book is an absolute love for music, and that is sort of my secondary love to books. So this sounds like a fantastic read. And finally, I have The Regulars by Georgia Clark. This book follows best friends Evie, Krista and Willow as they navigate their lives in New York City. They are in their mid-20s and they are described as regular girls. They are regular girls with regular jobs. They are average looking. They are making sense of online dating and they are struggling to pay their rent. That is until they come across Pretty, a magic tincture that makes them gorgeous. They find that their newfound gorgeousness opens an unbelievable amount of doors for them, and it is about the girls deciding what they are willing to sacrifice in order to be pretty. This book sounds like a fascinating concept, so I'm really looking forward to delving into it. Sounds like it's dealing with a lot of themes that I'm really interested in. So they are all the books that I'm going to talk about today. I hope some of them have piqued your interest. Have you read any of these before? Be sure to let me know down below. Anyways, I hope you're all well and I will talk to you guys in my next video.